Um, Hello everyone, this is El-Ateif. I am machine learning GD, and today I will present to you my project made with Maker Suite. So before I present to you the project, I would like to quite quickly walk you through, Maker Suite. So Maker Suite is like kind of like a playground where you can try out different generative AI tools, like generating text through prompts, or you can generate actual data, analyze data as well, or you can actually use conversational AI, like Bard, ChatGPT, so you can interact with AI and then have it answer some of your queries. So today, the one that I'll be using for my project is chat prompt. So the project I'm developing is called, so it's kind of like what I'm trying to do is develop using PaLM API. So that's like the model trained to do these kind of conversations. So what I'm trying to develop is an application that can help, or a conversational AI tool that can help women kind of like answer some of their health questions and then help them, kind of do regular checkups, like for example, if they have some kind of questions or queries around their health, like perhaps it might have anything to do around gynecological health, that might be like their hormones, like if they are if they have menopause, and like if they have like, for let's say for example, painful periods or anything, for its symptoms that might show up. So my hope, because like this project, I called it Anagia. So Anagia is survivor in Arabic, and it means someone that does everything so they can survive and thrive. So that's kind of like what I really want to do, is to help women kind of take care of their health and reduce any kind of any kind of repercussions that can actually lead them to have cancer, or any kind of the really bad diseases out there that we human beings get affected by, especially women, because of their hormonal imbalance and bad lifestyle habits. Without further ado, let's get to the thing. So how did I build this? So first things first, it's actually very simple. I mean, the concept is very simple. What you need to do, so let me just, open a new one so I can show you what they give you at first. So this is chat prompt, and then we'll click on create, right? So what you're supposed to do is to provide the context and then provide, some examples so you can kind of like guide the generative AI model, which is PaLM API. So what we're going to do is going to be similar. So we're going to be giving the context, like for example, we're going to ask it to act like a doctor who has experience, number of years of experience, and we wanted to answer questions around like women's health, specifically females' health. And then we might ask it to be like careful to always kind of direct our the patient or the user of this application towards the doctor in in case some kind of complications show up, or just in case something tricky like pops up or something like that. Because obviously this is not a human, this is not an expert, it's just an AI learning from a bunch of data and trying to provide information. So responsibility is up to the human, obviously. So it's very simple. This is what we're going to do. We're going to put the context, what I told you just now. we're going to write it, and then we're going to give the model some examples, and then we're going to test it using this thing here called test your prompt. Right, let's go. So I came up with the context. So let me just quickly read to you the goal, because like that's mostly what is actually available in all the other sections. So the goal is to provide a series of questions and guidelines to help women perform pre-screening for gynecological issues. So here it's always good to kind of be very precise around what you want your, the generative AI to actually kind of pull out from all of the data it has been trained on. And then what I'm asking is that I'm telling like guided by seasoned like gynecological doctor specialists using simple layman terms, so that it doesn't use some kind of medical terms who, well, normal people don't understand, obviously. And then clear instructions. So, if it can, provide like very clear steps for anyone that they can replicate it. After all, what we want is to, make the checkup easier and make it more interactive and fun for the women so that they can use it more and more. With visuals whenever possible, but obviously in this kind of case, we're not using like Imagen or any kind of, image generative AI tool, but I still wanted to, to include it. And referring to the latest research and highly credible and trustworthy website, for more information. So audience is women of all ages. Right. So I also provide stuff like, what is the purpose of the application and what is like further context, questions that, that I would like it to ask the user, and then some kind of very simple prompts that I would like it to focus on, and some guidelines as well of, like some kind of limitations. Like, for example, I ask it like if the, user kind of provides very vague answers to, kind of ask more questions so that it can get more data and, help have more information so that it can provide the best recommendations possible. And here I am using, like a simple scenario. So this is like a scenario conversation. So for example, here, let's take like the first 3 examples. So hello, I'm interested in doing a pre-screening for gynecological issues. The model says, great, I can help you with that. Please share your demographics like age, race, and ethnicity, family history of any disease if applicable, and any lifestyle factors such as smoking, taking alcohol and all of that with me so that I can provide personalized suggestions. So the user says, for example, I am 35 years old and I identify as female. That's really important because this is only for women and female. So, okay, can you describe your symptoms? Like, what are you feeling? Where are there any unusual stuff in your body? Like, yeah, sometimes I'm very wet when it comes to wording. Don't look at me like that. So I've been having some abnormal vaginal discharge and it's been making me feel really uncomfortable. So then the model, proceeds to ask further questions, and then the user, answers, and so on and so forth. And yeah, that's practically it. Now, let me just tell you how I developed this, because this is really what is very interesting. So as you have perhaps, kind of deduced, that I'm not really very good at writing. So what I did was that, kind of come up with the context and something, what I really wanted the solution to do. And I got around to using board and then asked it to help me define the context. Yeah. So let's read the prompt. So help me craft an efficient context that will help the LLM model provide the best answer to the patient. The goal is to build, well, using health pre-screenings for women app using the chat PaLM API. So description of solution. The solution is supposed, this is like the solution I wanted to build. As you can see, this is not very highly author-worthy or kind of style. So yeah, deal with me. Description of solution. The solution is supposed to provide a series of questions and guidelines to help women perform pre-screening of gynecological issues. And the main format will be questions to collect symptoms, like mostly feelings and observations from patient. Because like usually when someone is describing, what they're going through, like the symptoms they have, they're always like, I feel this, I feel that, and then I can, I saw a rash on my hand or something like that. So yeah, that's why I added feelings and observations. And to provide appropriate resources for screenings as they require physical, etc., etc. So that's how actually, Bard helped me provide the context, the questions, the prompts, and all the amazing stuff that you see, like that means the user. And what I like chat PaLM here is the model in MakerSuit. So yeah, I practically, technically speaking, I didn't really do much. So this was like before I wanted to see how PaLM, how Bart actually was going to define the context, but I had actually already defined my own context previously. So what I told it is that, I wasn't really happy with when I actually tested what it provided me. I wasn't really happy with the results. So what I did was that I provided this with my own version, which is, as you can see, you are a 4-year seasoned gynecological doctor specialist to help women keep track of their health. So this is like the context I wrote, and then I asked it to max and mix and match both of the, both the qualities of both sides, what it provided and what I provided, so that it can give me better results. And yeah, so I practically, after asking it, so it gave me this context, so I just copy pasted this until guidelines, copy, and then I put it here in context. And when I was interacting with the model, obviously that's how I added these other suggestions. By the way, I didn't really just stuck there. So when I kind of saw that sometimes the model didn't really provide satisfactory answers, or for example, sometimes it kind of gave the answer too quickly, without asking further questions. So I tried to ask Bart to help me force the model to do that. And yeah, the Bart kept helping me refine the context. As you can see, I'm still refining the context here. And I obviously trying to understand what kind of, I also asked it to, help me kind of give me suggestion on how I can best test the model, for any kind of loopholes. Yeah, and that's what I did. I kept asking Bart for help. And after that, what I did was as you can see, I started interacting. By the way, how did I perform these suggestions? How do I know what kind of suggestions that I should be doing? Obviously, I was interacting with the model. I kept asking it all kind of crazy questions. And that's how I knew what needed to be improved and how, to improve it. So for example, as you can see here, I'm asking it what is ice cream. So I wanted to know if it could, avoid things that were unrelated to what I was trying to ask it to do. But sadly, as you can see, it wasn't really very successful. So if we want to avoid something like this, one of the things we can do is that we can go to, let's go back to the home. So we can fine tune our own model. That means that nothing scary. We're not going to train anything. What we're going to do is provide the model with way more examples that, for example, in this use case, provided with really specific healthcare, women healthcare kind of issues, and interact with that. This would be perfect if you have a doctor, or if you're really developing this solution for someone, for a hospital, or perhaps for a doctor. You may never know, they might want something like this, and you have them beside you. They can tell you edgy cases, they can give you, all kind of scenarios that you can use, and then this will help you fine-tune the model. So practically fine-tuning is directing. It's like when humans, they choose, let's say, for example, well, let's say, for example, for AI, we have different fields, right? In different domains, you can apply it for text, for image, for voice, for whatever you might think of, right? So for example, as choosing to specialize in voice, for example, that's a choice, right? And that's what we call fine-tuning. So we are trying to fine-tune our brain to a specific area. And that's what we're doing with the AI model as well. Let's go back. So yeah, let's talk about the code. Now that I have wreaked havoc on this model and tried different cases, what I want you to do before I forget is to save this. So here, as you can see, it's because I already saved it, so it's disabled. But when it's not saved, please make sure that you save it so you can keep your work. Where can we find our work? You can find your work in my library. As you can see, these are all the stuffs I tried. So you can obviously share it with someone if you want them, to further test it, sorry, and that's really a great idea. So now we want to code. So you can go to this section, get code, and then obviously choose the one that suits you. So you can just use curl, so you can test it, or you can develop a JavaScript application. As you can see, it gives you here the full code. You can just use it as a JSON, like import it, and then, but obviously I'm an AI person, so obviously I use mostly Python, and that's what I did actually. But practically I was too lazy to even copy paste. I just clicked on opening Colab and then remade all of this. So I really didn't do anything actually. I just kind of put some, some of it in very specific cells. As you can see here, we installed the Google Generative AI API. That's the one that has PaLM API. As you can see here, we're importing it. And apart from that, obviously, you will need the API key. So API key is like the key to the model, right? So the key, where can we find the key? You can find the key here. Get API key, click on, click on create API in new API key in your project, or you can export the one you already have. Obviously, I already have mine. So I already put it in here. So obviously here it's going to be in string format, right? So here are the actual model parameters. So we can see them here, excuse me. As you can see, ChatBizon is actually one of the models trained for conversational AI. You can also find it, I believe, in normal text prompt, but yeah, you will find another name of it. But temperature is like, how creative do you want your model to be? Well, how much nonsense do you want in your data? How much creativity, how much nonsense are you allowing? Do you want it to think out of the box? So if we're creating an imaginative story and all of that, we would want to increase that as much as possible. Well, one is good. Do not go over that. I don't believe you can go over one. Let me see. Yep, you can go over one. Okay. And then obviously max output. So here I wanted only one response to be generated, but if you want more, you can obviously add more. And those, you can see them here. So top K and top P are also related to how much you want, the model to be creative around the answers. So yeah, feel free to increase them if you're building something in fiction or something, out of the norm. But yeah, play around with it. It's like models, when you're training them, you will have to try different batch normalizations, different batch sizes and all of that. So remember the context. Actually, all of this is what we have already put here. I swear I didn't change anything. I just copy pasted this. It was actually already copy pasted. Remember, I just clicked on the button. And yeah, the only thing I actually added was I actually copy pasted this section, put it in another cell so I can test if everything is working. Yeah, and that's what I did. Now let's deploy this application. So to deploy the application, we're just going to be using Streamlit. And so how can you deploy an application in Streamlit? Simple, you just follow what they tell you to the T. You open this thing here. All right. Oh yeah, one thing before sorry, I forgot, is that you need to put your project in GitHub before you can actually deploy it on Streamlit. So you will just click on new app, and then you will follow all of the instructions that you will find in here. You can just Google deploy your app using Streamlit, and they will give you straight away this link. And it's really straightforward. Like, I didn't do anything crazy apart from this part here, where you're going to, click on advanced settings, and then you're going to be adding your API key, here. So it can be accessible. And after that, it will, tell you your app is in the oven while it is building. And let me just quickly show you, what did I want to show you? Oh, sorry. Let me just, what did I want to show you? Give me 1 second. Right. So there was nothing actually I wanted to show you. Yeah, just put the API key here, yeah. And in the code, yeah, this is what I wanted to show you. Yeah, in the code, you will just add st.secrets. So st obviously here is just streamlit.secrets.api key. And this is how I called it exactly in the, in the Streamlit thing settings here in advanced settings. I called it API key instead of DB username, and then I gave it the value. And that's how you can keep your API key secret, so you can use it and then people can actually play around with your application. Now let's go check out the application. So as you can see here, this is the application. Very simple, very basic. Oh, I forgot to tell you that I actually built this application using Streamlit as well. Using Bard as well. So as you can see, I asked it to help me. So I am very straightforward. Help me turn this code into a Streamlit app. And that's what it did. So I kind of just, figured out the logic like very quickly with around the messages and all of that. Nothing really out of the box. And then so I added like the missing pipe. This one, I didn't have it before. Added this pipe installed Google Generative AI. But, I thought, why don't I just, ask it to help me figure out what kind of dependencies I might need. And yeah, I copy pasted this thing here. Yeah. We pasted this. And then I asked Bart to come up with, the content for the requirements.txt. And so, like one of the things I did so that I can make sure this is working, I actually tested it inside my own laptop before actually, pushing it to GitHub and then deploying it in Streamlit. I just made sure that everything was running well. And obviously, whenever I run into something fishy, I actually request help from Bart. So I told you, remember, I told you I wanted to figure out if there was any kind of way so I can, refrain the PaLM API model from answering non-related gynecological question issues. And well, it asked me to perform fine-tuning practically. Yeah, obviously we can use structure context and all of that, but yeah, I think all of this can be done if you have control over the model. So fine-tuning is actually the easiest way to do it. Let's go back to the application. So let's say, for example, hi, I want to know how I can, for example, check how can we check? Yeah, let's check, for example, Scott I breathed his health. Usually this is one of the ways to avoid, kind of being surprised with having breast cancer, is to check every month. Yeah, every month after your for women after your period, how to actually, check them, try to check if there are any kind of symptoms, any kind of swollen that you if they are swollen, anything that is unusual. So please do so every month. So this is how they tell you how you can do it. So monthly self-exam, and this is how they're describing step by step how you can do it by yourself. It's very straightforward, very simple. By the way, if you feel like you don't really like text and you want more images, you can find them online. Well, that was it. Thank you very much, and I hope you enjoyed this walkthrough.